Also Harnash the fish on dough. So to the second video in this 57 gold belly series. So we opened up, this is the start we took off, and I just wanted to see why it was seized. So I think we can figure out now why it was seized. A lot of gunk in there, so that's okay. We have another one here, so we're going to do a job on him. Just going to put that band around the points, the brushes I should say. So what way does it go in? So we want this underneath here if possible, so you're not looking at the bolt. So we'll pick a place there for it to attach, and we're going to pick the little spot there where it has a bit of metal there. So there. So we'll put a new bolt through that. So we've got a nice new washer there. Okay. This is the side facing outwards, so we'll put the head of the bolt there, so we're not looking at a nut, and we'll push the nut inside. So that should tidy things up nicely. Okay. Thing of beauty. Solid. So that's our starter. I tested that before. It's got the right Bendix on it as well. It's 1960, so it's a Massey Ferguson 35, which is the exact same engine that's in that particular tractor, whereas this is like a Morris Minor car one, or a Mini or something like that, probably Morris Minor. They do fit, but they're just not 100% right. So we'll go and we'll fit that onto the engine because the owners asked me to do a compression test, so we'll just get some might just get some washers for that, I think, since we're looking at some nice brass. So we might get some washers for him, and so we can rig up some form of a cable, nice thick washer, because it'll be a strong cable that'll be going onto it. So a nice, put a nice washer onto it each side. There's a good strong one. If that fits, it's a little bit, maybe that's better, and we can give him a shine up on the sandpaper. And that's a bit too big. We'll try and make it as neat as possible. Maybe a slightly smaller one for the outside. Okay. So we'll get our sheet of sandpaper, because power has to go through those washers. I do like to shine them up. So it's a very quick and easy job. Just takes a second. That'll reduce the resistance in going into the starter. It gives more bang for our buck, basically. Electricity will always find the easiest way out, and sometimes that means it turning to heat, wasting. Okay, so that's that ready. So let's go over to the tractor now and we'll get that fitted. Currently the starter is ish. So there's our power in. So the bolt is on top. Okay. And the stud was in bottom. I've never seen the stud in them before, but it doesn't matter. They'll all do the same thing. It's taking its time going in, is it lining up? Maybe not. Maybe that's why. There we go. Okay. Okay, you don't have to be crazy tight. Just close up the gap. There we are. So there's one starter. One N35 starter fitted, and it's the right one. With the big Bendix on the back of it. Okay, so we're one step closer. So now I just want to whip out these spark plugs. I know that one is loose, as we had to tighten that when we returned the engine. We felt there was no compression at all. So we'll just have a quick look here and see if we can get the compression stroke on number 1 cylinder. It's been a while since they were firing, I can tell you, when you see likes of that on them there. But when she was running, it was running fairly alright. They're not dirty. So we'll just have a quick look here and see. There's a few ways you can kind of work out the compression stroke. One of the simplest is to turn the engine until you feel pressure coming out. So it's intake opening there. It's exhausting it. There's, yeah, and that's the distributor drive is at the right angle down there, about 45-degree angle. So that's probably your compression stroke now. And you can adjust valve clearance on them. And that is, woo, it's big. But it doesn't matter, that's easy done. So at least now, when I go dropping a distributor in there now, I have an idea that it is on firing stroke number 1. Now, we need to say a few things here, I suppose, before we go dropping distributors in. Number 1, that is just a little too much surface rust on that part there, so we'll whip out that and that, tap it off. Hopefully not damage the gasket too much, or we'll make a new one. That is probably a Ferguson 20 part, because I think all of the Massey Ferguson 35s had the tachometer, speedometer drive on them like that. It was a slightly different casting, is longer and has a gear to drive this. So we'll have to take him up, clean him up, because our distributor, I can guarantee, will not slide down there with that amount of surface rust on it and kind of oil and grease. So we've done up all our distributors, so we'll want them slide in nice and neat. And when we put on a rotor arm, it should be pointing at cylinder over ahead, the first one, cylinder number 1. But anyway, that's jumping the gun. I just said I'd do that just so if I do throw a distributor in, we're timed, we'll say, fairly right. Then we can start thinking about doing a compression test. The valve clearance probably won't make a whole lot of difference. If I want, I can throw a distributor in and then do 1, 3, 4 and 2 valve tappets or valve clearance, have that right, and then do the compression test. I suppose that would probably be a good idea. That's probably the way I'll go about it. So I suppose the next job I could be doing is to whip off these 2 1/2-inch UNF nuts here and tap up that part there. Hopefully that'll come off handy enough. The paint looks like it's fairly thick, as in nearly 2-pack, so it could be fairly tight, but we'll get it. We've had to take off harder things in our day and in the shed in here. So yeah, that's probably what we'll do next. Give him a tap with a plastic hammer. Okay, that's coming up lovely. Let's take out that final. The stud is coming up there, that's no harm. That's coming out lovely, I think, is it? Yeah. So we'll say nothing by. There we are. So our dynamo drive gear is at the right angle there, 45 degrees. So I think we should be good for just give this a quick clean up, and we'll throw it back in. I'll do that with the Dremel, and we'll throw it back in and throw a distributor in just quickly with a rotor arm to make sure we're firing on the right cylinder. Okay, so we give this a clean up. It needed a good bit of cleaning down in here so that it would take the distributor, so we just tried it there with a distributor just to make sure that we got a distributor shaft go down into it easy enough. So that should be alright for the purposes of testing. Well, just having the distributor turn with us so we can work out where we are on the firing strokes and all of that. So that's good. Lovely. These ratchet spanners are the job. Just a little bit thicker, that's all. The normal spanner, so you sometimes can't get them in at the very start. Watch your luck. Loosen that off a little bit there. Okay, we can go get a distributor now and drop it in there and just see if we are roughly where we're meant to be. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to get a different distributor there. Now, so if we're saying everything's right in the world, that should go in to gear with that point in it. Cylinder number 1. So I'll give her a wiggle down there. We're in there. That bit of wiggle room there is just the auto advance weight springs. So that is a right. So that's good. So we just wanted that there, just so we could see that when we turn the engine, three, four, two, 3, 4, 2, 1, and then if we look up here at our number 1 tappets, they should be open there, so closed I should say, so we can adjust that. So 3 is next, intake, exhaust, 4 intake, exhaust, 2 intake and exhaust. So we're good. So that's brilliant. At least because when I go doing the tappets now, I know I can follow looking at my rotor arm. So another little job done. Probably jumping the gun a little bit when we only want to do a compression test, but still I want to do the valve clearance regardless, just to have all that right. Just to be able to see, just in case some of them was very badly wrong and it was holding the valve open. So that'll be the next job then, valve clearance, and then we can pull out the plugs, hitch in a battery and inert and all of that and get the engine spinning. Okay, Tommy the Rash, we're back again. So since I fitted that distributor in last night, I just said I would do a better job. I just wanted this fitted just to check and see if we were firing on the right cylinder. So I was putting in the advanced retard plate, and there's some lines on this here. One side is advanced and one side is retard, and you can probably just see the A there, and there's an O to my left hand side, and there's lines between, and each one of them lines is 2 distributor degrees or 4 engine degrees. So that's how we retard or advance our timing accurately. So this is clamped then, so that goes out there. So we're missing a stud and a nut. So what I'll do is, I think it's UNF going down in there. Yeah, they're really hard to get them studs, They're the same holding on the coil, and they're probably one of the smallest studs on the engine, and they're specific to this engine and the Ferguson 20 TVOs and petrol. So I do try and look out for them, but I think this time I might just have to go with so make sure that should go down in there. It's looking a little bit, it's feeling a little, there we are. UNF, okay, UNC I should say, coarse thread. So this bolt will do the exact thing. It's a little bit awkward just with the clamp and the plate on it there. That's okay. Get in the way of that. So we'll get a quarter inch on the job here. Now, 1 7/16 socket on the way. So we don't have to go tightening that up crazy, because there has to be a bit of little bit of give on it. Okay, so I'm just going to get the nut now and we'll come back to that. Okay, so yeah, as I said, these particular parts, the stud and the nut on the holding on the coil each side and on the distributor, I think they're the same, but they're hard to find. So now, these are ones I've already cleaned up and all. So we'll just let it sit on there, because it doesn't have to be anyway tight at all. Lovely. And now we can go and fit in our distributor. Just to get it up onto that clamp, actually is the thing here. We should loosen the clamp completely, because it's going to need to go up around the distributor. So we might have to just loosen things off again there a little bit and just give it a jiggle until it goes down into the engine. The reason why sometimes put on the clamp first is it can be awkward to put these nuts on when the distributor is in, because your gap then can be fairly small there. So yeah, we'll just try and be able to wiggle it there a little bit, and there we are. Right, that's meshing in there nicely. There we are. And it's a loud spring back like that. That's normal. That's your advanced weights. Okay, so that's all right. So we'll just put these up out of the way, because they can be a nuisance when they get caught behind the coil, and we'll spin it around roughly straight there. I'm gonna leave it. It should. Actually, won't leave it. What we'll do is we'll just tighten it up to hell, because it could end up just the whole bloody distributor turning on us, and that's not what we want. So we'll just nip them up a little bit there. Keep them half still anyway. Then we're going to get on to the valve clearance, valve guidance. I'm thinking of valve guides. Let's give them a little nip there. So at least he's turning. He's only turning the clamp. And we'll just snug him up in there a little bit as well, just to keep everything steady. As the gauge is turning, I want that distributor to be pointing, you know, at what we want it to point at. A little bit hard to tighten this one in there when you have the coil on, I can see, but it's just a matter of taking your time. Okay, that's snugged. Okay, so next job, now that we have our distributor in and we know that it seems to be right, we're just going to test it again. This time we're going to use kind of a 1/4 inch screwdriver. So if you look at the earlier videos, you'll have seen that there's a timing hole in there, and that goes through a hole into a hole in the flywheel when it's at the right place. So let's go and get that set up. So give a bit of pressure on that. 1, 3, so it's on 3. So we'll turn the engine slowly and put a bit of pressure after cylinder number 2 is fired. So 1, 3, 4, 2. We'll give a bit of pressure on it there. Usually it goes past 1 a little bit. Okay, so there it is there. We're just going to go a little bit further and see if there's another hole there shouldn't be. But, yeah. Okay. There's a hole there. So I suppose we'll just study that again on the valves this time. 1, 3, 4, 2. We'll just see what's happening here. 2 is firing there because they're rocking. Okay, and then 1. Okay, so that's that going in there. It's very clearly pointing at cylinder number 1 there. So we're going to go with that, and we're going to go and set the tappets on cylinder number 1. So what I'll do is, because it's nice to see things from both sides, is I leave the camera this side for couple no made for a little while, and then move it around the other side. Okay, so we need a 1/2 inch spanner, and we need our feeler gauges, and we need a flathead. I like a short flathead here. These are massive valve clearances, so I want to bring them down to 12 thou on the exhaust valve and 10 thou on the intake valve. Okay, so I'm just going to get the feeler gauge now and we'll come back. What I do, because I have 2 sets of feeler gauges, is I set one. I have one here for 12 thou and I have one here for 10 thou. So we have first got an exhaust inlet exhaust. So we're way off there, so that's no problem. So our lock nut is loosened up there a little bit. We probably have to loosen him a bit more. And we need to start screwing him downwards to take up the slack a good bit. And we'll just see what we're at there now. Okay, so there's still way too much of a gap there. That's about 12 there. To be safe, I am going to leave them just a loose 12 because this engine has probably not ran for a good number of years, so I just don't want them having galactic valve clearances at the same time. So that's just nice and snug there, but not what you would call a tight 12,000. Safe is what I'd call that. So that is good. So now we're going to move on to intake here is about 40,000 there, not more, 50. So same thing, tighten them up a little bit there. Like this whole rocker shaft, if we do get this engine running, this whole rocker shaft will be coming off. We'll be checking all the push rods to make sure none of them are bent, but just for the sake of a compression test, I am just going to roughly do a quick valve clearance on it. Now there's only one mistake I made there to get the other one, not that one. We're looking for a fairly loose 10,000 is what we're looking for, not 12,000. There we are. Just for purposes of testing. The next one's an inlet as well. Okay, so there is a quicker way of doing this, but we're just going to go through. You know, some people say like set, skip, set and all of that. Like, yes, you can do that, and there's rule of 9 and all of this. But what we're going to do, since we're looking at the rotor arm, so we're locked into hopefully firing piston number 1 there. So we're going to move on to number 3, so is next. So, okay, 3. So it's roughly there. Okay, we'll go right around and let's see what's happening here on the. So that's it, it's firing on 3. And it seems to be, well, it could be, as the man says, they're both valves are closed. So 4 then is next. So that's exhausted, and then back up to 1, and that's just exhausted, so that's firing. So 3 should be firing there now. Well, let's get to know the engine. 4 is on the way to firing there. There we are, firing, and then finally 2 there. Okay, so 1. We can set the number 3 there. So we'll move the camera around just for a change of scenery. You can sit it up here, maybe. Try and get it in behind the steering arms. Might have a little bit better of a view at things. Maybe if I leave that little torch there, might help. Okay. That's all right. So this is an exhaust. For a piece of the first few cylinders, the first 2 cylinders there. Okay, so it's massive clearance here again. A little bit more. There you go. That's the sound you want to hear just for testing. Perfect. And then 10 thou. There's a lot to go there. Right, that's a bit too tight. That's what happens when you go tightening up the nut, it sometimes turns the screwdriver, so it's no harm to get a good grip on that. That's perfect, just for what we want it to do. 1, 3, 4, so we'll crack these off here and have them ready. Ah, yeah. Ready for going. So 4 is next. Okay. Right. So since we have the 10 towel in our hand, we'll put exhaust, inlet, exhaust. Put that out there. Yeah, that'll do just for now. That's not going to go do any damage. And then the last one there on this side. Loosen it up a little bit. A little short, stubby half-inch would be ideal. And I have one there, doesn't need to be that long. It's just a long one there, it's the whole time trying to fall. Okay. So that is a safe 12 tau. Don't go crazy on these because it's only going to be turning over, hopefully, by battery. Okay, so that is number, I think I have to do 2 yet, don't I? 1, 3, 4. Yeah, I do, yeah, that's okay. 2. That's alright. We jumped the gun a bit there, I think we were finished. Because we got to the end of the cylinder. Yeah, head. Yeah. Okay. So, exhaust, inlet, exhaust. Okay. Loosen this up first on there, make sure it's happy to. Sometimes they're a little bit stiff. Perfect. That's good. And my other 10 tau now. Same crack here, just loosen up the lad that goes down into the tap at first on the lock nut to make sure it's free. Otherwise you can end up breaking the slot in the adjuster. Okay, so that is probably more than good enough for what we want to do there. We got to start to handle it. Okay, so a little bit dirty, but we're not going to be running the engine obviously. I don't have it put together fully yet, that we're going to be expecting lots of oil up there to flush all that down into the sump and the engine and all of that. So we just want to do a compression test. So I'm going to get the box spanner now and just whip out all of the spark plugs, because I think for this test you want the engine turning fairly fast. And if you do have your manifold and carb on, they say to open up full throttle. We won't have that issue because we're, as the man says, we're already on full throttle there. So that's bang on. Try come back and whip out those plugs. Okay, I'm going to spark plug on a voint in here. Take these boys out. Hopefully some of them are loose, because the compression did feel low. Mind you, this engine has been sitting for a while. Could take a little while for okay. So whenever it was running fairly right. Judging by that spark plug and that one, lovely and clean. Okay. Not the worst in the world by any means. Okay. And they are champion N21s. So I'd say they'd be good to go again, because I have a set of them that are older than my gold belly and they're still perfect. Right. First thing I want to do, because I want to do a wet test after, I'm just putting a little squirt of WD, because I don't want to run it, you know, when I get it rigged up completely dry. But I put oil down with my oil can when after you do that, but I don't want to go doing a complete dry run, as the man says. So I'll have to rig up a bit of a battery lead here and stuff, and an earth lead on the other side, and yeah, I might have to clean down an earth. Usually where I go for the earth, because it doesn't have a bolt, but I have to clean down a little bit there. I like that my earth to be on the engine, because the spark plug looks for an earth, and if it's on the engine, well, that's the best place for it if you ask me. So we'll clean that a little bit around there, and we'll put a bolt through and we'll fit our battery cable on there. The Dremel, because it'll be the neatest. So yeah, important. The earth is the most important connection. So nice and clean. And I might even just clean a bit more there, because this will do for the final earth as well. Lovely. Now we're just going to pick a bolt for that and that nut. We'll just see what we have here. Okay. A little bit too short. And that one there is probably, yeah, it's a little damage. It's perfect. It would have been perfect. That one a little bit better. Same length. See, I have other ones there as well. So let's get the other box and we'll pick a nice one for that. We picked up a nice UNF bolt. They should be UNF there. All of the rest of them are UNC, but the one for that is UNF, and we have a nice 11/16 UNF nut, genuine Ferguson spring washer, and a nice flat washer there as well. So I just want to see, are we going to be able to work here? We will. So I just want to clean up the battery lead where it's going to be attached to the earth. Okay, so that's good. Right. Hopefully that will fit. If not, we'll have to do a bit of jigging with it, yeah. We'll have to bring that into the devices, give it a quick round fire, and come back then. Okay. Earth connection. What's going on? Right, so we'll show that in through there. Okay, if you have enough space, because I do like to put washers both sides, put them both sides. That's the way it's meant to be. If not, hopefully we'll. Yeah, that'll be perfect. Okay. That's all facing the right way now. So 11/16 on that. And we should be good to glue. Good air connection, spark ignition engine. It's the most important electrical connection that will fit. Okay, so we have another lead that was supplied with the tractor, really nice, well made lead. I remember having to get leads like this made before, and they're expensive enough to get made like. So one end is thick, has a smaller hole, and one is bigger, so we put the smaller one on there, like that. So firstly, considering it's going to be power going through this, we use our ever suffering Dremel. Okay, so that's going to mean whatever power we do get down there, it shouldn't be getting lost due to a bad connection. Okay, so we'll put the smaller washer inside maybe. The bigger one on the outside, and our nut then on top of that. These are a very strange thread. I'd love to know what kind of actual thread they are. All I know is when you lose one of these brass nuts and you go to your box of nuts and you think, I'm going to find them, you just might not. So that's what happened to me. 11/16, yeah, it is, give or take. A little bit. I think what I had on there was an 11mm, not a 7/16. There we are. That fit a bit better, I will. It's a little bit loose on the inside there, so we'll just try and get a spanner in behind him if we can, or something to hold up. It's not. Okay. Now, are we going to be able to tip that, I suppose, is the question on a battery. We will find out. That's only meant to go to a solenoid anyway, up around here, so that will be perfect length as is. But look, we'll see. We'll throw the battery from one of the tractors into it there now, and I might just put a battery clamp on the battery so that I'm not destroying the terminal in the battery, and we'll try it for a spin over. Okay, battery time. The battery from the gold belly is going in. We'll wire it up. Positive and earth. Hopefully now it'll fit. Yeah. So that's the end there. How are we like for in there? That's going to need a touch of the Dremel. Actually, now that I look, see, it's just fairly crusty. Okay. A1. That's what we want to see. I'll tighten it up a bit. Oops. The camera is nearly on its highest there, so right, so that's on, good and snug. I just wanted to throw on a battery clamp here rather than be touching the terminal, because it can get a little bit sparky and stuff. Okay. Right, so I give the tractor a rock and make sure it's out of gear. And we'll see what happens. Put the camera back here at a safer distance. And all going well, you get crankage. Definitely seems to be a neutral. It is neutral there on both gears now. Okay. Quickly to check, make sure there's nothing. No tools sitting around here. Right. So will we get the engine to turn? Well, the answer is we're a little bit too far away, so I'll go and get something better there and maybe another battery lead. The battery lead is just not making it. I might bring back the camera further because I can't actually see, I realise now. I'll just go and make up another bit of a battery lead there so we can actually get that to hit the terminal. Okay, so I put on a bit more of a battery lead here. So I'm just going to give it a tighten up here. Okay, so hopefully all going well, when I touch these two wires, we'll have some crankage. Okay, so we do, brilliant. Stone cold, that's good. I did strip that starter completely and gave it the works. So hopefully now it's going to be a matter of just picking a piece of paper. We need our adjuster on it. An adjuster that goes on here, I think, for bigger spark plugs. So we'll throw him in. Bring up the camera now, I suppose there's no need for it to be so far. What would I be looking PSI wise in an ideal world? 80, 85, 82, 80, something like that would be lovely. Oh, we don't need an adapter, that will go straight in there. Now it's just hand tight. It's just a hand tightened one, there's no spanner for it, it has an O-ring, so hopefully we will have an accurate reading. So this is going to be, I'll bring up the camera closer now, this is going to be basically a dry run. I'm just going to get a piece of paper. So I'm going to leave it for this video, but I have the other video that's going to follow straight after it, because I would prefer to call this video the valve clearance, and the next one then to be the compression test. So be sure to check that out, and that's going to be edited straight after this. So I'll catch you there. Okay.